Competition isn't just about who's directly in front of you. It's about who influences pricing, who controls supply, and what alternatives your customer has. If you don't understand your competitive landscape, you could be making strategic decisions blind. That's where Porter's Five Forces comes in. Today, I'll walk you through how to use it to analyze your industry, identify threats, and find opportunities. Why does this matter? Businesses that ignore competitive dynamics end up fighting battles they didn't see coming. This tool helps you anticipate challenges before they happen. What you'll get from this video is a step-by-step walkthrough of each of Porter's Five Forces and how to use them for smarter strategic decisions. Before we dive into the forces, take a step back and research your industry. The way you define your competitive landscape will shape your entire analysis. Ask yourself, who are your direct competitors and who are the unexpected ones? What other options do your customers have to solve their problem? What external trends or industry shifts could change the game? For example, a cinema chain probably thinks its competition are other cinemas, but customers could see Netflix or home entertainment as real alternatives. Defining the industry too narrowly could lead to the wrong strategy. So the action item here is to take the time to research your market before analyzing the forces. Otherwise, you could be working with the wrong assumptions. Okay, so hopefully now you've gone and defined your industry. Now we can get started on the five forces. So the first force I want you to look at is bargaining power of buyers. Why does this matter? If customers have too much power, they can force prices down and demand better terms. That really squeezes your margin. So ask yourself, how important is our product or service to customers? Do customers have many other choices? What strategies do competitors use to retain customers? So for example, airlines tend to have low customer loyalty because prices dominate decisions. You can compare that to an organization like Apple, where customers are often quite locked into the ecosystem and they'll keep on paying premium prices to stick with Apple products. The action item here is if the buyer's power is high, you want to consider differentiation strategies or how you can build loyalty. Tools like Blue Ocean Strategy Map or a business model canvas might help. Now we're going to go on to the second point, the bargaining power of suppliers. So why does that matter? If suppliers have too much power, they can dictate prices and limit availability, reducing your control. So ask yourself, how many suppliers exist in the industry? How dependent are you on key suppliers? Can you easily switch suppliers? So an example here is Tesla. So Tesla mitigated supplier power by bringing battery production in-house. That also gave them more control over costs. So the action item here is, if the supplier power is high, how can you diversify your supply chain or invest in vertical integration? What are the other options that you can do to mitigate this? For example, could you look at alternatives to the product or service that's being supplied? So really think about how much control do your suppliers have and how can you balance that control back in your favor? So question 3, the threat of new entrants. Why does this matter? So if it's easy for new players to enter, competition will keep increasing, making it harder to hold market share. This is really becoming more prevalent in software at the moment because of the lower barriers to entry now that we've got more advanced AI technology, making it easier for competition to come into the market. So ask yourself, how easy is it to start a business in this industry? Do government regulations create any barriers? Is a large capital investment required? So for example, the banking industry has a high barrier to entry due to regulation and capital investment requirements, whereas e-commerce has very low barrier to entry, allowing competitions to pop up overnight. So some of the things you can think about here to mitigate that is strengthen your brand loyalty. Think about economies of scale. So how can you compete on cost if you are at a greater scale than your new competition? How can you develop proprietary technology or proprietary products so that you can defend against those new entrants? So really think about if it's easy for new players to enter, that makes it a lot harder for your business to be defensible. So you need to think of tactics that help you to build defensibility in your business. So the next one is the threat of substitute products or services. So why does this matter? Even if you dominate your category, substitutes from outside of your industry could still steal customers. So you need to ask yourself, what alternative product or service fulfills the same customer need as ours? So an example here is the taxi company historically is probably largely competing with other taxi companies. So now you've got an evolution of this, which is a substitute product, which might be Uber. You've also got things like electric scooters and electric bikes that are scattered around cities, hireable on demand. So the action item here is how can you focus on differentiation, customer experience, or bundling services to reduce substitution risk? So really think about what could be a substitute for your product or service and how can you reduce the risk of customers substituting your product or service. So the next one here is intensity of rivalry. So the fiercer the competition, the harder it is to maintain pricing power and profitability. Ask yourself, how many competitors exist in this space? How intense is the price competition? Is the industry growing or shrinking? So an example here is streaming services, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO. So they've gone through a brutal price war, while there's other industries that are pretty untouched. So the action item here is if competition is intense, you want to look at differentiation, niche positioning, or a really great brand strategy to stand out. So you've gone through Porter's 5 forces now. What do you do with all this information? The next step is really to analyze your findings. So identify whether the industry is attractive or risky. Look for opportunities to strengthen your position in the market. Decide if entering or exiting the industry makes sense. Okay, wrapping up. Porter's 5 forces isn't just a theory. It's a tool to help you understand your industry and make smarter strategic decisions. Use it to get ahead before your competition does. So in the description below, I've dropped a link to a worksheet that you can use, as well as links to some of the other tools that I mentioned in this video. Subscribe for more competitive strategy breakdowns and tools, and comment below which of these forces is impacting your business the most. See you in the next Yonder breakdown.